Fix old cameras. Your successful completion of the demonstrated repair ultimately depends on the quality of your tools, the condition of your camera, and most importantly, your repair ability.
Canon FTB line of cameras, and this particular TLB, can develop shutter bounce caused by a displaced brake pad. And yes, a camera can have a brake pad, a shutter brake pad. Only the top cover and subsequently the counter mechanism will need to be removed to gain access to the shutter braking mechanism. Remove the rewind knob by grasping the rewind fork and spinning the rewind knob in a counterclockwise direction. With the battery cover and rewind knob removed, the 4 top cover screws can also be removed. The screws in a Canon TLB, like most cameras of this era, are JIS crosspoint screws. It is highly recommended that you use a JIS crosspoint screwdriver and not a Phillips screwdriver, as a Phillips could mar the screw heads. Before removing the shutter speed dial, set the shutter speed to 500 and the ASA to 25. If instead you set the shutter speed dial to bulb, when the shutter speed dial is removed, there will be tension on the meter linkage and it will backspin and you'll lose the timing between the shutter speed dial and the meter linkage. Remove the shutter speed dial retaining screw with a pointed spanner wrench and make certain that the shutter speed dial is set to 500 and the ASA is set to 25 before you remove the shutter speed dial. As you remove the shutter speed dial, slide your tweezers between the dial and the meter linkage. Mark the point of contact on the meter linkage. Now remove the advanced lever retainer, also with a pointed spanner wrench. Turn in a counterclockwise direction. Remove the black decorator disc to reveal the secondary retainer set screws. There are 2 each. Remove the secondary advanced lever retainer. Now you will be able to lift the advanced lever and the advanced lever link plate. Slide the top cover off. If there is a hot shoe, watch out for the hot shoe wire. Also, if the rewind shaft would inadvertently get pushed out, the rewind click bearing would fall free and get lost. So in order to prevent that, we'll put a little piece of tape around the top of the rewind shaft to keep the shaft from falling through. With the rewind shaft secured, we can now remove the counter mechanism. There are 4 screws in the counter mechanism, and the screws are all different. So take note of the screws where they come out so that they can be put back in the proper place. Maybe a little diagram with the placement of the screws on the diagram will help you keep the positioning of the screws straight. Make sure the film door is open before lifting the counter mechanism out of the camera body. Counter mechanism clear of the camera body, we can locate the brake pad that has fallen completely free of the brake band. We will remove the upper brake band assembly by removing the 2 small countersunk screws, as the brake pad belongs to the upper braking arm. Pliable glue will be used to glue the brake pad, which is leather, back onto the braking arm. Work the errant brake pad back into position onto the braking arm surface. Check the lower braking arm to make sure that the pad is in place. It rarely comes free, but it still needs to be checked. The small brake band tensioning screw can be loosened if we need to gain access to the lower brake pad. After some time has been allowed to pass so that the brake pad glue can set, the brake band assembly can be installed. Sometimes these small little screws do not cooperate. We'll try again in the upper hole, see if we have a little better luck there. If you can get it started, you're good to go. All right, get the lower one in. A firm twist at the end to tighten, and check to make sure that the band looks appropriate against the pad. The next step is to drop the counter mechanism in place. There are 2 ears on the advanced shaft that need to be aligned with the notches in the bottom of the counter mechanism. Usually just some slight manipulation will get it to seat. Make sure that the film door is open so that the counter linkage will clear the tab on the film door. With that, put the screws into the counter mechanism, making sure that you put the appropriate screws into the appropriate holes. Check the shutter for proper operation on all speeds. The band tension can be adjusted if needed. The only other item of note upon reassembly would be the timing between the shutter speed dial and the meter linkage. In the advance lever, link plate needs to be installed in the same position as it was removed so that the advance lever seats properly. You can always take a picture of the advance lever release plate before you take it off to make sure that you orientate it correctly upon reassembly.
Thank you for watching. Inspired? Check back for new video postings.